Hello, everyone. Sorry, we're a little bit late today. How's it going? Get out my pop-out chat here in a second. Going to get started momentarily. All right, let's get out our chat here. There we go. All right. These last usually like an hour. Yeah. All right. So, yeah, I was actually playing a game with my kids, and I was like, oh no, it took too long. How's it going, music fan, Shady, the Gold, Mohan? What is the meaning by negative spacing? Well, it's just a name of the show. It's kind of a play off the idea of negative space and design fundamentals, but I'm not necessarily negative when I give my critiques, but I'm just, giving critiques, whatever. Hello, everyone. Howdy, hi. Music fan, Naved, what's up? All right. So I'll give it 30 seconds and we will begin. I'm doing better. Last 2 weeks has been hell. My back's been real messed up from seeing a chiropractor, and then I had a stomach bug, which I'm finally just getting over after like 8 days. Not very fun. My dad's doing, he's making progress from the stroke. He might be able to get to a cane pretty soon. It's still tough. Okay, anyhow, yeah, let's go ahead and get started here. So, as always, this is going to be another Negative Space live design critique review where you submit your design, and you do this via the Discord link. It's the first link in the description here on YouTube. It's just a free chat application. It is this program that you see right here. And you go to review submissions, this little channel right here, and you just send in your review or your design for me to review, essentially. And I will rate it live on air along with the people in the chat. I get you guys involved to rate designs on a scale of 1 to 10. And we rock and roll that way. We'll do this for an hour. If you really want me to review your design, just send in a super chat, which is this thing right here, little money sign, and just mention your Discord username as the message, and you will get thrust to the very beginning of the line. All right. Okay, so let us get started. Let's go to the very first one. Oh, I'm going to adjust my windows so that we have the chat open throughout most of the time. Oh, yeah, I forgot. I have a new setup, so I'm on the left side of the screen as opposed to the right, so I can just do this. There we go. Get this going. All right, so who is the first one? Let's see. I think we'll just start with AMJS here. This is, unfortunately, no backstory to what this is. It looks like maybe just some type of, it could be like a splash page, perhaps, or something like I don't know. This looks like a general graphic. Unfortunately, I don't know what it is, so I can't really give a critique. Sorry about that. NSMN. Do I have a React tutorial? No, I don't. I need to get into React. I haven't done that yet, but I plan to this year. All right. Oh, we haven't seen these in a while. The little vertex ideas right here. The animated vertices. Okay, so the illustration club. Let's see if he gave us any details about this. No. All right, well, that's fine. All right, let's click on, ooh, this is some type of, that's very interesting. Log in, sign up, the illustration club, illustrators, about, let's click on about. Interesting. So when I use my mouse scroll wheel, it says switch. All right. Let's go back to index here. Okay. So there's a lot of stuff happening here. There's a lot of elements in the background, of course, that are kind of distracting the eye a little bit. I'd probably lessen the opacity on that so it's more of an afterthought because it is coming through quite strong. I would say for this, might be a little bit more helpful to have a little bit more an explanation as to what this is exactly in terms of, you know, the illustration club. It might be nice to show maybe perhaps some of the illustrations off right on by default, but I do like what you guys have going. Now, one thing for the type, you want to increase the type, the size of the type. It's pretty hard to read, especially with what's happening in the background. But the interactions are very, very cool. So I'm definitely a fan of those. All right, so if you guys want to rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, go ahead and do so. And I will give my rating as well momentarily. So 1 to 10, 1 being the worst and then 10 being the best UI design you've ever seen for what we featured here. Let me know what you guys think. So we got a 5, 8, 6, 7, 6, 7, 9. Too much going on. 5. Has potential. I wouldn't blur out the email password form either. Yeah, the type needs a little bit of work. But I'm going to go ahead and give this a. I hope this works. By the way, I didn't test it beforehand. There, good. Yeah, I'm going to give it a 6. There's definitely a lot of potential. Just work on a few of those other things. All right, let's work on the next one. All right, we got a super chat. Thank you very much. I'm just going to call you Mr. Malik or Malik. All right, so it's S-A-R-A-N-H, or something like that. I'm looking for it. There we go. So this is a still scratch, work in progress. We'll appreciate any feedback or suggestions. Let's check this one out really quickly. All right. Okay, so I can definitely see you probably used that, I forget what it's called. It's the, I think it's called Undraw perhaps. It has a lot of these different illustrations you can choose from. Let's continue on down. All right, so I already see some things that you can definitely improve, although there are some positives as well. I can just tell right off the bat. All right, so first of all, in this, let's expand this a little bit. Okay, so even on a 1920 by 1080, which is the resolution I'm streaming at, you need a lot more white space. Definitely a lot more. By the way, I'm going to use my new tool, VisBug, for a lot of the critiquing of this stuff. So if we take this element right here and we add in padding, you're going to see how much better things start to begin. So if I hit padding, where is it? All sizes, control up. So let's increase the padding. Actually, let's increase the padding of this container. What the hell? Why isn't it working? Trying to add padding to this. So right now I'm just using, there we go. So if we get it out of the way just a bit, it looks a lot better. So you need to give your elements room to breathe. This graphic right here is too big, up against the elements way too much. So again, if I take out VisBug, take this element, and we, how do we change the width and height? I haven't quite used this tool enough. We have move, where is scale? Position. Not sure if we could do a width by height. We probably can. I'm not familiar with it enough. Either way, perhaps we can just do padding on the inside. No, there we go. So you want to make this much smaller. See how I'm like scaling it down and push it away from the edges. Same thing right here. We have a massive wall of text, and look how little white space there is. I mean, this needs to be increased so much more than what it is, and you could probably scale down the size of the type as well. This image too large. More padding inside of these containers as well. So again, at least that much padding right there. All right, but the colors are good. I like the type. So you do have things working out for you. So what do you guys think for a rating for this entry? It will be from, of course, a 1 to 10, 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. Music fan, if you want to submit an entry, click on the Discord link. It's in the YouTube description, the very top line. Someone said 6, 6, 7, 6. Yeah, there's definitely positives. This is one thing that's, you know, if you want people to read type, if you have type, you want people to read it, you need it to stand out more. So, you know, using our contrast tool, we click on this element. It's going to fail right here. We're going to autocorrect it. It needs to be at least this amount of contrast. All right, so I'm going to say we're going to give this probably a 6.3, perhaps, around there. All right. All right, so let's continue on. We had another one, another super chat. Hey, Gary, design my employer's new website. Good luck. I'd love to know what you think about it. All right, it's Antone. Right here. Oh, it's an Adobe XD prototype. Okay, cool. Adobe XD, by the way, people, are coming out with supposedly some really big update sometime this month. So I will definitely do a video on the channel about that. All right, so thank you very much for the super chat, by the way. Let's do your review. Okay, so teams that know their priorities work faster. Okay. All right, let's scroll down. Just checking it out. A lot of grays, a lot of grays. I like this section right here. All right. Okay. I'm just looking around a couple other pages. All right. So especially, okay, this page right here, you definitely have to increase the contrast. If you have bullet points, you want people to be able to quickly and easily read that. Get this plugin. It's called Contrast with a K, K-O-N-T-R-A-S-T. And because this is an Adobe XD prototype, you're not going to be able to see. It won't work because it needs to be in actually HTML and CSS. But I guarantee you this would fail if we ran it through. There's a way to pick the colors, but if I pick like the color of that with the white background, of course it's going to fail. So definitely increase the contrast of what you're working with here. Coming back to the home page right here, if there's a way to increase the contrast of this graphic as well, that would be ideal because it kind of just blends in almost with the background. You want it to be really defined. Also, try to get this type lined up in the center, not where you have this uneven amount of white space on the bottom as opposed to the top. This section is not bad. Again, you're working with a lot of grays here, so it's kind of bland, especially with these as well. Sometimes it's nice to see things at full contrast. I do like this section. You probably want to bring out the contrast a little bit more here, I would say, but I do like this. This is the way you've set these up is nice. So yeah, pretty solid overall though. What do you guys think he should give as a rating? 1 being the worst and 10 being the best. Seven. Jan says 7. Yeah, it's pretty close, I'd say. 8.5, a 7, an 8. 6, 7, 7, 6. I'm going to say that is a strong, yep, that's a pretty, yeah, I would say that is a pretty good 7 right there. Nice stuff. Thank you for the super chat once again. All right, let's continue on. We got another super chat here. All the other people are saying, Jesus Christ. Okay, so Ashish Kumar, did you? Oh, check out my recent work done for a client. It's okay, ALEV. ALEV. Where? There you are. Wait, nope. ALEV. There we go. All right, so recent client work. Moby is online health service booking landing page design. Let's check it out. All right. Let's scroll down. Ooh, we got some parallax occurring here. Okay, so it hijacks the browser just temporarily for a horizontal scroll. That's fine. All right. All right, so I'm honestly not too certain about this font. Although the type, in terms of the color and the contrast, that works well. And I'm also not too sure about this really strong gradient where you're going from one extreme in terms of darkness of a hue to the lightness, like to such an extent. I would, if you're going to use the gradient, I would probably make it less contrast from one gradient point to the other. This up here, this all works pretty well. This section right here, though, I noticed that you're using this extremely light blue, and you're using it in various parts of the background, like right here and right here. It is so light that it's bothersome, in my opinion. I think you need it to come out maybe just a shade or two a little bit darker. A lot of people, they do the opposite problem. They put too much contrast, and then the foreground elements are unreadable, or they're difficult to read. This, I think, if you just come out maybe just a percentage two or more and make it a little bit contrast a little bit more, it'll help define the shapes that you're trying to reinforce here. Probably the same thing I would say with this as well. So coming down here, might want to ease up on the degree of the shadow that you have coming here. Again, same comments about the buttons. This is all pretty solid right here. And yeah. Okay, so it's just basically like a single page layout. So I do like the animations that you have worked in here. So what do you guys think this person should get? Overall, like I mentioned, just those few things I think would definitely improve it. But overall, I think it's pretty solid. So what do you guys think for a rating? 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. All right, so we have a 7. Shady says, EduPark says 7.5, 7.6, 7, 6 or a 7. I don't know about the guy with the beard, though. I might change that up, at least the facial appearance. All right, I'm going to say... Yeah, I'm going to say 7 as well. So far, we've had 6s and 7s. Thank you for the super chat as well. All right, I think that was all for the super chats. Okay. All right. So let's close this out. Now, who is next in the regular queue? We did this one. Not responsive yet. I think we did this one. So yeah, this is next in line. We got another guy with the same facial hair from the previous. Okay. All right. Software developer, I can solve one of your problems. All right. All right. We got some work to do. Okay. So, first of all, it seems like, when you are able to zoom up on your browser, hold the control button and then your mouse scroll wheel like this. If I reset this to 100%, it seems like it's zoomed up at me at 150% already. And so that's not ideal. So what you want to do is try to scale it down and try to mind what you're doing at the different viewports. We can see, like he said, it's not responsive yet. Like, so for instance, if I completely expand it to fill out my 1920 by 1080 resolution, this is almost acceptable. It's still too large. Everything's still too large, especially with what you're doing down here. We'll get to that in a second. Your graphic right here is pixelated, so it's bitmap, it's rastered as opposed to vector. You definitely want to make this vector for sure. This type is actually pretty good right here. I don't have much of a problem with it, but these parts, you know, just too large. Next section right here, okay, the rest of the area that you have for the way that you're laying out your content is, for number one, we still have that issue where it's too big. We'll just forget about that because we did that already. But the colors you're using are not working in terms of, you know, this grayish color and then just this green, which these don't contrast well with each other, so they're not very complementary. So I would scrap this design in terms of the colors for sure, and rework this to something else. You know, try to go simple. Don't try to go crazy with colors. Try to, you know, again, you can go to Google and type in landing page galleries or for inspiration or something, and try to find out if you want to stick with card layouts like this. Try to come up with some other ideas or see what other people are doing. And so it's very redundant too in terms of how you're laying this out. It's not very easy to you can read it easily, but there's no what's called visual hierarchy. You're not sure if one area has more of an importance than the other. So, for instance, you're listing your interests. I'm telling you right now, potential employers or clients don't care about your interests. That would be last, but you have your skills right here. Of course, they would be more interested in your skills. So you have to list this stuff out, you know, as it makes sense in terms of prioritization. All right, so yeah, those are my comments. Change up the colors, scale things down at this viewport at least, and try to experiment with laying this stuff out differently. All right, what do you guys think this person should get for a rating? 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. Five, 4.8, 5, 6, 4, 5.5, 3. Yeah, so I think the best part is this area. This is good visual hierarchy in terms of this type right here. All right, so I'm gonna say, wow, my little Stream Deck thing with my buttons keeps on messing up. I'm gonna say a 4.5. Yes. You're almost average. All right, so yeah, just work on that, and you'll definitely improve to at least 6.5 or so, just on the few small things that I mentioned. All right, let's continue on. No other super chats. I want to make sure. Okay. All right. Next up is this one right here, github.io. Let me scale this in. Whoa, what's happening there? All right, we got some crazy animation occurring. Let's refresh this. Starts out slow. Hi, I'm this person, Santiago. I'm a full stack web developer. View my work. Okay, so let's come down. I'm just trying to get a feel for what's happening here. All right. Okay. Your issue primarily lies in contrast. All right, so first of all, with this light pink background and this white text, hard to read. It's not impossible, of course, and you can still read it, but it's still, if you're going to use white text, I would make this background color here a little bit more on the saturated and perhaps on the darker side, so that this contrasts a little bit better. Your call to action, you want that usually to stand out differently as opposed to all the other elements. So make it view my work like this, the hover state by default. not this, so that it just kind of gets lost otherwise. You want people to click, and you want it to really contrast and stick out. I think I did a video about call to action button philosophy and such before. You can look at my channel. This right here would improve this. You can see there's a little pixelation on the edge here. Just small things like this are, you know, they're important. What really makes a great design is all the fine details, making sure everything's stamped out. The text is okay. This is another example of contrast going wrong. You definitely want to increase this. Let's see what contrast our plugin has to say about this. So if I inspect this element, it fails. So if you want to auto this, yeah, you need to increase it much more. And this just looks better. This is just dried out, washed out for the type, and it just doesn't work well for such an important type of element on your interface, which is text and a label essentially. Rest of this is pretty good. You might want to bold these just so they stand out more and they're separated more as labels. Right here, these are really hard to read by default when I'm not hovering over them. Like where it says Trello, weather app, and etc. So, you know, increase the contrast on this pink sort of transparent card overlay. This right here seems to work. Might want to make it like this by default, but use, instead of white text, black, or this dark gray right here. All right, so what do you guys think this person can get for a rating? 1 being the worst and 10 being the best. Oh my God, I would slow that down too, because that's a little bit too disorient. I can't even talk. Oh my God, I've been sick for too long. 5, 7, 6.7, 8, 6. I'm going to say, yeah, I'm going to say a 6. Yeah, right around there. All right, let's continue on. This was the one I just did. Yes, it is. I want to make sure I don't skip anybody. Continuing on. All right. I like to get a nice refresh here. Okay, we have like a nice just gradual fade in. Let's scroll down. This is nice. All right. That's very nice. Pretty nice here. That works. All right. Okay. So when it first loaded, I wasn't too certain, but it got better as I scrolled down. So I would say the weakest part is probably this area right here, the initial, as they call it, the hero section. First of all, the logo. The logo type needs worked on, and maybe even the logo, the symbolism itself. A little generic looking with the icon here, and the type especially needs worked on in terms of just the font. Also, the letter spacing seems really off. It just seems it could be so much better. So I would work on the logo for sure. Again, that may not have been you, whatever. Either way, this is pretty solid right here, though. I would probably bold request quote because it is a little bordering on the edge of not enough contrast. But by bolding it, it'll be easier to read. This part right here, this type, the description, hard to read. You probably want to adjust the leading here, bring it up, the line height. But this right here, very solid. I can't say anything negative about it. This all works. This is very nice. Everything contrasts well, but there's a good separation of your elements visually in terms of a hierarchy. So all works well. I like it. This is very nice. Nice subtle hover animations. Good card-based design. Yeah, this is all solid. So it's just the top part, I would say, it needs some work. All right, and especially the logo. What do you guys think this person should get a rating? 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. Nine, 10, 10. I've never given out a 10 yet. I think I've given out several 9.5s, but not 10. 8, 9, 8, 8, 8, 8, 9.8, 9, 9, 8. Yeah, I'm going to say an 8. Yeah. Yep, I agree with that. Perhaps a 7.9. All right, let's continue on. Recently created my portfolio website. All right, we got a portfolio. Got some animation. Let me refresh it for you guys. Hi, I'm Irshad, a self-taught web developer, diviner, programmer. All right, we got another one of these illustrations. That's one of the bad things about, again, I think it's from Undraw. Yeah, wait. Is this it? Yeah, it is Undraw. Okay, because I featured it in one of my tutorials. Yeah, that's one of the bad things about, you know, when it comes to any type of library, design library, you can really start to spot them immediately. And again, it depends on who your audience is, your demographic is. If your audience isn't other designers perhaps or coders or whatever, you can get away with it just because the people who are visiting the website probably won't notice. But yeah, I can easily spot like where these have come from. And this is probably not a great execution of it just because of the colors for the background. Yeah, this part contrasts well, but this doesn't. This blue little plant here, so that's throwing off the design. Same thing like with this hair right here. So you have to be very careful with where you place these designs in your hero section as you're using it. The type, I'd probably bring this together a little bit closer here, but you can still read it in terms of contrast. We got our skills, projects, just very subtle scroll-based animations that work. The carousel here. This works. Maybe a little bit more white space between these elements. And this works, yeah. A little bit monochromatic down here. Might want to take this type and decrease the opacity just a bit. All right, so what do you guys think this person should get as a rating for their design? 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. All right, we have a 5, 6, 6, 7, 6, 7, 6, 7. Has some things going right with it. I'm gonna say a. Oh, my software is messed up. Yeah, I'm gonna say probably a 6 as well. Just improve those few areas that I mentioned. All right, let's continue on. All right. Just a little logo. All right, we have a logo for myself. Probably not a lot to judge. Maybe just what your thoughts and what you think. All right. I see the concept that you're going after, which is your initials, I would assume, J, and the little person being a K. But generally speaking, when you're working in opacity with different forms that are a part of a logo, you really have to execute it correctly. For instance, we see this tiny detail down here where it's just like the person's hand is it's like behind this element right here, and it's just a small element. And when you're dealing with the images that are this large, you can see those details. But when you scale it down, it's not going to look very good. It just kind of makes it more of like a blurry little mess because, you know, logos and like this, letter marks, they're usually displayed in sometimes in very small sizes. So even like these two little arms, this is too small of a detail in relation to the rest of the size. So you really need to rework, I would say, and go back to the drawing board to try to come up with something else, honestly. In terms of creativity, like the idea, but I think it just needs reworked. I mean, we're not going to bother with a rating with this. I usually don't do that for logos anyhow. So let's just continue on with this person right here. This is a Figma. All right, so I already did this one. I'm not sure if they updated it or not. I can't remember. I'm not that good. I think this person did update it because I remember doing this like 2 weeks ago from the last review. Yeah, I think they did. I think it is an improvement. One thing you would make sure is your placeholder text for any type of text field like this, like where it says search for products, fish, or anything. Bring that text contrast up more because you're letting people know it's a search or whatever, or what they can search for. It's something they can read. You want them to be able to read it easily. So bring up that contrast. Otherwise, I definitely remember this is an improvement from last time. Deals of the day, this should be more centered because there's a lot of white space as opposed to on the top of it. These cards, there's a lot of information packed in here, but it seems to work. Just slightly cluttered up. I would say use a different color for the strike through. It's like a sort of like a pinkish, and it doesn't work well with the type behind it. But other than that, everything else I think is a definite improvement from what you did before. So I'm just gonna go ahead and exit out of this one because you already had a rating from before. I forget what it would have been, but honestly, if I rated it as it is, it's probably close to a 7 right now. All right, let's continue on. Recent client work. Wait, oh, we already did that one because that was a super chat. All right, I am Groot. A collection of web dev learning resources. Those are free and very popular. All right, mine better be here. All right, UI decoders. I like the colors. All right, how to learn how to create real-world websites with these resources for free. All right, good call to action, pretty good. Probably need to separate this type right here with this over here just a little bit more. So you might be able to bold this a tad. But yeah, other than that, this works so far. Let's scroll down. All right. Okay, so it's just like a big organized list. Okay. So the first thing that I noticed that's way off is the lack of white space on the right and left and within these containers themselves. Let's see if we can do this again. I can do a better job. So if we do padding. I'm not even going to screw around with it. It takes too long to adjust it. But we need to increase the padding in the cards so it's further away from each other and also this side. Notice how this is all kind of brought in this far in. This, I'm not saying bring it into this degree, but maybe around here. Or where it's even with the left side of the logo, that would make more sense. So more padding. Other than that, the way you have these listed out is pretty solid. Yeah. Good separation with the icon, title, and content. This right down here, popular frameworks, very good card designs right here. I like this. A lot of padding in here. Very subtle set shadow, which works. A lot of people get that wrong one way or the other, but this works. And this works as well. All right, so what do you guys think this person should get rated on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the worst, 10 being the best? Hey, is someone up here? I'm out of water. I'm dehydrated as hell. All right, somebody said 9, 8, 6. So I'm going to say, looking at this, I'm going to say like a 7.8. Solid otherwise. Yep, very good. Just a few small things. All right, let's continue on. All right. All right, this is, I have no clue how to pronounce your name. I'm just going to call you Bogdan. All right, portfolio website concept for a graphic designer photographer. Not a real project, not for mobile yet, just the landing page and a project page. You can click on any open project. So this is just for practice, it seems like. Interesting animation. Oh, that's kind of cool. So that's taking things in a different route. Very unique. So if you just open this, it's going to take you to a different website, I assume. So yeah, these are, okay, so probably just this that probably wants critiqued here. Let's see. Yeah, this is so different and unique. The one thing that's a little bit throwing me off is the fact that when you hover over it, it will, on some of them, hide elements that you might want to see, although they are just kind of previews and you are supposed to click open project. What I would do instead is leave open project, but make the whole thing clickable so that you don't have to go directly to open project. Otherwise, very interesting. I might even increase the padding between these by maybe like 5 pixels. Make the grid line stick out even more, at least on this resolution. Or take them in almost to 1 pixel. All right, very cool. So what do you guys think for this? Well, it's not like a full UI design in the sense of like having a lot of elements for us to judge, but still, on a scale of 1 to 10 for what it is, what do you think? 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. Yeah, and you could also possibly maybe like do a CSS transition animation on this to where it starts out like this, but then maybe it decreases it from transparency. You can see a little bit more of the background. Maybe, I don't know. All right, so just because there's not a lot here, yeah, I'm gonna say this is probably, I'm gonna say like 7.5 for what it is. It could easily be an 8 though. It is very unique, so you should get extra points for that. All right, good stuff. All right, landing page for my app. Atlas, desktop WhatsApp client with themes and multiple account support. Multiple account support. All right. Desktop WhatsApp client with themes. All right. Features. So I would probably, on this resolution at least, increase the white space just a bit right here. This here is actually kind of fine, because it's kind of crammed in there a bit. When it comes to this certain navigation system where it says back and next, I might work in a different way to represent this concept, because when people think of you have a button to the right and then a button to the left signifying front and forwards, and usually you signify that with like a horizontal, like a carousel, but when you hit next, it kind of goes down that way. So maybe using a different type of navigation for that might make the most sense. Like for instance, on these types of sites, I've seen a vertical sort of breadcrumb navigation, symbolized usually by like little circles that light up based on your scroll position. You can also click them, for instance, and then also maybe a down and up arrow as well. but that's just kind of like a minor thing. You can definitely read your type, so that's working well. The back and next text, I wouldn't put it centered in this column right here. I would just put it on the left if you are going to keep the buttons not centered, like keep them from right here. So yeah, you're also reusing this graphic too much. You're seeing the same graphic each time. You don't want to do that. It's so repetitive. So change up the background graphic as well. So what do you guys think this person should get for a rating? 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. One moment. Hey, staff. I'm in the middle of streaming, but I'm about to die of thirst. I didn't get enough water. Can you bring me up? I'm dying of thirst. I can have water. Thank you. Oh my God. I could barely get up because my back's so jacked up. All right. I'm going to say, well, a bunch of people said 4, 7, 4, 5, 4, 5. Yeah, I'm kind of mid-rangey. I'm just going to say like 5.5. If you changed up the graphics, I mean, it'd make it more unique. That would be a lot better in my opinion. All right. Let's continue on. Who is next? I want to make sure I didn't skip any. Nobody sent. Okay, good. Any super chats? All right, my wife is coming up here. All right. I think she was afraid she was going to be on camera. All right. Okay, so let's continue on. Landing page for my app. Okay, next one is, wait, we already did that one? Did we do this one? No. Okay. Ooh, we got a nice one. Let's refresh that. Some animation. Wait, it did something different before, I think. These came into the view. No, for some reason it's behaving differently. Okay, so a custom ROM, which is based on, okay, I have no clue what any of this is, but let's scroll down before I give a critique. This is pretty solid, definitely. All right, so what are those letters doing up there? I'm trying to figure it out. This is solid. The colors that you're using, it's obviously a darker UI, but you have a very nice color that stands out well with the blue for the call to action up here. The reloaded, sort of like the logo here, works pretty well. This type right here, this works, and the watermark that you have for this text, that works as well. Really love the way this is being featured. Perhaps you might want to change this up so that this might be a good use case for VisBug right here. Change the color here to, and of course it's not working and it's not changing the damn color. Well, that's very frustrating. To more of like a gray like this, but make it bold. And then take this blue right color here and make this blue. Will this work? I can't even grab the, yeah, this tool definitely needs some work. There. So that should be blue as that is. And then this should be more of like a bold, maybe just mid-gray. Because these are call to actions and they're not really sticking out too well. Other than that, very good size of the illustration here with the text here. A lot of white space. Same thing right here. A lot of white space. This is all done quite well as well. And same thing here with this little form selection. Very good. A lot of white space or padding inside of here. Everything's easy to use and see. What do you guys think this person should get for a rating? 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. 8, 7, 8.5, 9, 9, 8, 8. I'm going to say, and probably like an 8.5. Will probably be our highest rated example so far. Very good. Thank you for the submission. Here's an Adobe XD. I'm not sure if I did this one. I think I did. Yes, I did that review already. Eldon.space. We'll be doing this for about 9 more minutes or so. 10 minutes. All right, let's refresh this. See any animation occurring. Front-end developer. What happened there? It was something completely different. We saw half of them before, and then now he's just all very confused right now. All right, well, either way, let's see here, resume. Nice little transitions between pages here, very subtle. A lot of people try to overdo it, and then the animation becomes jagged because there's too much occurring. One thing I would change is don't change the size of the type. You're already changing the color to green, and you're making it bold, but you're changing 3 things: the scale, the font weight, and the color. Just stick to one of those, or 2 at the max. You can make it bold and green, but I wouldn't make the size as well that quite that large. So yeah, definitely change that up. So if I go to home, looking at this, the layout could probably use a little bit of work, maybe restructuring. For instance, you have your face right here where it says designer. Move yourself over to the left, like in a big hero section. And then to the right, you can put this content. So you can just save yourself some vertical space, because there's not a lot of structured layout occurring right here. Resume, this is all solid. Some of the other pages though, like my services and the way you're listing out these cards, there's not a lot of structure in terms of the alignment. So if we use VisBug here, we could see this vertical column, the dotted pink part, showing my services and my clients are on the same column, but then these things are coming in on the side. These aren't really centered as well, so it's throwing off the flow of the overall layout. So I try to get those all even squared away. But yeah, like this right here, portfolio. Try to figure out a different way to fill that up more if this is the only amount of projects that you... these are categories essentially. Maybe make portfolio drop-down menu as well, so people could quickly access it just by hovering and then clicking once. But yeah, what do you guys think this person should get for their rating? 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. I have like 7 minutes. Fine. It's my daughter. She wants to know if she can come in and get something. All right, 5, 4, 7, 8. Oh, okay, front-end developer. I'll get to you next because I saw you did send in a super chat. I'm going to say a 6.5. Definitely work on that. You can improve the score easily just by integrating some of those changes. All right, next up is front-end developer. Submitted the portfolio in Discord. So hopefully your name is front-end developer in Discord, because I don't know what your name was. Let me look and see if there's somebody with the name of front-end developer. Doesn't look like it. So person named front-end developer in the YouTube chat, let me know what your Discord username is. All right. So I'm just going to have to continue on. Oh, username is Subin. All right, S-U-B-I-N, right here. All right. We got more of the Vertus things occurring here. Okay. First of all, they stand out too much, especially with the animation that's occurring. I would definitely draw back the opacity of these for sure, so that it's not competing so much for the eye. We want people to see this part the most. This color for the hover, I wouldn't do the way that you're doing it. If anything, I would, if you hover over it, I'd probably get rid of the stroke for that. Let's click on it though. What would have happened there? All right, so view my work. All right, so it scrolls us past this part. Now, this is one of those areas, again, there's not enough white space on this viewport at least. Yeah, it needs room to breathe. Try to bring things in like in line with this element right here for your type-based elements at least. And this is all just type-based anyways, there's no background. So bring those in, more padding. If you can, try to avoid thumbnails for projects that are like this where it just says like JS. I know it isn't meant to look like great design, but in the context of your landing page for your site or whatever, your personal site, it just throws off the design and it doesn't look good. So I would probably change that somehow so that they're all looking solid. This contact form is good though. It works. Good white space here. This is all very solid. But yeah, just this section definitely needs work, and draw back this amount over here as well. Breaking standards like this by putting these navigations in the middle as opposed to the top, I'm not really a fan of, just because it's an anti-pattern of sense, or in a sense. So I probably just put them back up so that people can access the important links very easily. It's good to try to be unique and creative, but when it breaks important patterns like this, I'm not a fan of it. So put that to the top, I would say. All right, so what do you guys think this person should get for a rating? By the way, thank you for the super chat. 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. I can't even drink water. I just spill it all over myself. 5, 5, 4, 5. I think it's better than a 5. And there's just, I mean, with the small changes, it could be a lot more solid, just with a few small changes. I'm gonna say a 6.5. There's a lot of potential, and it's just a few small adjustments would definitely help out. All right, where are we at? 57 minutes. I have time for one more. Who's it going to be? Let's see. Who did I do last? Right here. Please review my site. No more super chats, please. Don't send any super chats. Ooh, this is nice. Is this actually yours? Let's check it out. We make brands work. Very nice animation we have here. Scrolling down. So is this something that's... let me refresh this. What is happening here? Something happened. So now we're back to the original starting position, but if we scroll down... yeah, it doesn't give you a lot of room before this gets cut off, or a lot of time. But that's okay. Continuing on, got some old school telephones here. This is all very solid, that's for sure, especially if it's yours and you're not just sending in some random website. Let's click on, I think this is all just a, is this a one-page thing? No, okay. Work, whoa, arc. Oh yeah, very good right here. I like this form of gallery right here. Look at all the white space, works well. About us. Very nice. Might want to increase the white space just a bit, or the bottom padding a little bit more on that. Yeah, this is solid though. Very, very, very solid. Yeah. Not too much negative I can say. Normally having something like a phone like this where there's no context or anything, I would say kind of like I would be against that. But the way the scroll is set up, it's sped up. It seems like through parallax, so it kind of goes by fast. It's more of like an afterthought, so it works. I like the type. I like the design, the layout overall. It can definitely read very good. This is a good way to use fonts that are, or this is a good example of mixing typefaces that are serif and sans serif in visual hierarchy as well. This is all done very well. So yeah, very solid. What do you guys think this person should get rated on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the worst and 10 being the best? So we have a bunch of 9s, 9.5, 9. Yeah, I'm gonna say a 9.2, 9.3. Very, very, very solid. Awesome work. All right. All right. I'll be honest. I didn't really feel like doing this review because I'm still under the weather a bit, but I'm glad I did it just so I can get this knocked out. So definitely look forward for a new tutorial. If not tomorrow, then the next day for sure. On Tuesday. Won't be doing another live stream for another 2 weeks again. Possibly it could be done on Friday though. In 2 weeks. I'm going to aim for Friday instead of Sunday. I didn't feel good enough this last Friday. It was horrendous. So yeah, make sure to subscribe, of course, if you haven't yet. I'm sure most of you are already subscribed. And also come down here to the YouTube, not to the YouTube, but to the Discord channel in Idle. We're always here. So it's a good way to get a hold of me if you can. A lot of people do send direct messages, but it's only if they need help with coding, and I never help. I'm too busy for that. But yeah, definitely check out the Discord server. So I will see you guys later, and yeah, I look forward to the videos coming out during the week. Goodbye.